No fortune hunter is marrying our son without a prenup, they declared. I agreed immediately, then revealed my net worth was triple their son's. The prenup they signed protected my assets. Now they beg me not to divorce him. The Harrington family lawyer slid the prenuptial agreement across the mahogany conference table with the smugness of someone who thought they'd already won. My future mother-in-law, Evelyn, sat ramrod straight in her St. John's suit, while my future father-in-law, Charles, checked his Rolex for the third time in 10 minutes. It's quite comprehensive, the lawyer explained, clearly enjoying himself. In the event of divorce, you'll receive a modest settlement of $50,000 per year of marriage, capped at 5 years. No claims to the Harrington family assets, businesses, or properties. No alimony beyond the settlement. Custody arrangements favor the Harrington family given their superior resources. We have to protect Oliver, Evelyn added, her voice dripping with fake concern. You understand, dear. A girl from your background might see our son as a lottery ticket. I smiled sweetly, pulling out my own folder. Of course I understand. In fact, I've prepared my own prenup for Oliver to sign. Fair is fair, right? The silence in that room was so complete I could hear the air conditioning humming. Let me back up. I'm Luna Castellano, and I met Oliver Harrington at a charity auction. I was bidding on a photography workshop, and he was drunk bidding on everything to impress his frat brothers. When he accidentally won a $30,000 wine collection, I watched him panic, realizing Daddy would be furious. I quietly outbid him on the next item and swapped with him, saving his trust fund from taking a hit. Why would you do that? He'd asked, genuinely confused that someone would help without wanting something. Because you looked like you were about to cry, and it was painful to watch, I'd replied honestly. That was Oliver, sweet, sheltered, and completely unprepared for real life. But unlike his family, he had a good heart under all that privilege. We dated for 2 years. I never hid my job from him. I was a freelance consultant, which was true. What I didn't elaborate on was that my consulting firm specialized in helping tech startups scale globally, and that my client list included 3 unicorn companies. Or that I'd sold my first company at 25 for 8 figures. The Harringtons assumed freelance consultant meant unemployed. They saw my modest apartment, my Honda Civic, my Target wardrobe, and drew their own conclusions. Oliver tried to tell them I was successful, but they patted his head like he was a golden retriever who'd learned a new trick. She's trained you well, Evelyn had said at their last family dinner. But don't worry, we'll protect you from her type. Her type: Latina, working class background, public school educated. Everything the Harringtons thought beneath them. Now, in their lawyer's office, I watched their faces as they processed my counteroffer. This is ridiculous, Charles sputtered. You can't seriously expect. I expect exactly what you expect, I interrupted. Protection of my assets. My prenup mirrors yours completely. In the event of divorce, Oliver receives $50,000 per year of marriage, capped at 5 years. No claims to my assets, businesses, or properties. Custody arrangements will be determined fairly based on the best interests of any children. What assets? Evelyn laughed. You're consulting? I opened my folder and started laying out documents. Castellano Global Consulting, valued at $3.2 million. My real estate portfolio, just some rental properties, valued at $8.7 million. Investment accounts totaling $14.3 million. My stake in 3 tech companies, current valuation $22 million. Oh, and the patents from my first startup, which generate about $2 million annually in licensing fees. Oliver's jaw dropped. Luna, what? Why didn't you? You never asked, I said gently. You liked me for me, not my bank account. That's why I fell in love with you. The Harrington family lawyer was frantically flipping through my documents, his face growing paler with each page. These appear to be legitimate. Of course they're legitimate. Verified by Ernst & Young. I had them prepared when your clients first mentioned a prenup. I believe in transparency. Evelyn's face had gone from smug to horrified to calculating in 30 seconds. This is some kind of trick. No one with that kind of money drives a Honda. Someone who grew up watching their parents lose everything to keep up appearances does, I replied. My parents bankrupted themselves trying to look rich for people who didn't matter. I learned early that real wealth whispers. Charles cleared his throat. Well, perhaps we were hasty. Maybe prenups aren't necessary after all. Oh, but they are, I insisted. You were absolutely right. We should protect our assets. Both of us. I wouldn't want Oliver to marry me for my money any more than you'd want me to marry him for his. The beautiful trap had been set. If they backed out now, they'd essentially be admitting they wanted Oliver to have access to my money while protecting theirs. If they proceeded, they'd be signing away any claim to assets worth 3 times their precious family fortune. We need time to review this, their lawyer stammered. Of course. Take all the time you need. The wedding is in 6 months. I stood, gathering my documents. Oliver, honey, I'll meet you at the car. We have reservations at that new fusion place. As I left, I heard Evelyn whisper urgently to Charles, "We can't let her leave. Do you understand what kind of connections someone with that portfolio must have?" Oliver found me in the parking lot 10 minutes later, looking stunned. 3 years. We've been together 3 years, and you never mentioned any of this. Would it have changed how you felt about me? He thought about it, then smiled. No, but it might have saved me from a lot of really pretentious family dinners where they kept trying to set me up with appropriate girls. Those dinners were tests, I admitted. I wanted to see if you'd stand up for me when you thought I had nothing to offer but myself. Did I pass? With flying colors. Especially when you told that Bedford heiress that your girlfriend was worth more than her entire trust fund. You had no idea how literally true that was. We did get married, with carefully balanced prenups protecting both of us. The Harringtons' attitude toward me did a complete 180 overnight. Suddenly, I was brilliant and accomplished, and exactly what they'd always hoped for Oliver. I knew you were special from the moment I met you, Evelyn cooed at the wedding, introducing me to her society friends as the brilliant entrepreneur who built an empire from nothing. We're so proud to have her in the family. The first 3 years were actually lovely. Oliver, freed from the pressure of being the family's golden goose, discovered he had a passion for environmental law. I funded his return to school and watched him bloom into someone with actual purpose. The Harringtons treated me like royalty, constantly seeking my investment advice and connections. Then Oliver made partner at his firm and something shifted. Maybe it was the pressure from his family, maybe it was his own ego, but he started believing his own hype. He began making comments about my work, suggesting I should slow down and focus on family life. He started spending more time with his law school buddies, including his study partner Ashley, whose father owned a Supreme Court justice or 2. I tried to talk to him about it, but he brushed off my concerns. You're being paranoid. Ashley's just a friend. And maybe Mom's right, you do work too much. When are we going to have kids? When you stop asking me to give up my career to have them, I shot back. The fights escalated. Oliver became increasingly critical, echoing his mother's earlier sentiments about appropriate behavior for a Harrington wife. He was embarrassed when I showed up to his firm events straight from client meetings, still in my work clothes instead of designer dresses. You have millions, he complained. Can't you at least try to look the part? I thought you loved that I didn't care about looking the part. That was before you were a Harrington. The final straw came when I discovered he'd been meeting with divorce lawyers. Not just meeting, planning. He'd been documenting my neglect of our marriage, my obsession with work, building a case for why he deserved more than our prenup allowed. Ashley had been coaching him, promising her father's legal connections could break our unfair agreement. That's when I realized the Harringtons had played the long game. They'd encouraged Oliver to pursue someone with money, then slowly worked to convince him he deserved that money more than I did. After all, he was a Harrington. I was just lucky. I filed for divorce the next day. The panic in the Harrington household was immediate and absolute. Evelyn called within an hour of being served. Luna, darling, let's not be hasty. Whatever Oliver's done, we can work through it. Counseling, perhaps? A nice vacation. The prenup was your idea, Evelyn. I'm just following through. But that was before we knew. I mean, your family now. Surely we can come to a more generous arrangement. Think of Oliver's future. I am. He'll receive exactly what we agreed to. $50,000 per year for our 4 years of marriage. That's $200,000 total. More than enough for someone of his background. The callbacks to their own words were intentional and hit their mark. Charles called next, then their lawyer, then Oliver himself, suddenly repentant and swearing Ashley meant nothing. I was confused, he pleaded. My family, they got in my head. But I love you, Luna. We can work this out. Your family got in your head? The same family that's now terrified of losing access to my connections and capital? How convenient that you love me again now that divorce is on the table. The divorce proceedings were swift. Oliver tried to challenge the prenup, claiming it was signed under duress, that I'd hidden assets, that I'd manipulated him. The judge, after reviewing the documentation showing the Harringtons had initiated the prenup process and that all my assets were clearly disclosed, nearly laughed Oliver's lawyer out of court. "Mr. Harrington," the judge said dryly, "you signed this agreement with full knowledge and the advice of counsel. Your claim that you were somehow tricked into marrying someone wealthier than yourself is novel, but not legally compelling." Oliver received his $200,000 as specified. No more, no less. The Harringtons lost not just the money they'd hoped to access through me, but their social standing when word got out about how they'd treated me. Turns out, many of their society friends had done business with me or my companies. Choosing sides was easy when one side controlled significant investment capital. Evelyn still sends Christmas cards, always with little notes about how they miss having me in the family and how Oliver's learned his lesson. Oliver, last I heard, was dating another heiress, this one with a team of lawyers who made sure he signed an even stricter prenup than ours. As for me, I learned valuable lessons about trusting my instincts and the importance of protecting yourself even, especially, from those who claim to love you. My new ventures have flourished without the Harrington drama, and I've made sure to mentor young entrepreneurs, especially women from backgrounds like mine, about the importance of keeping their success quiet until the contracts are signed. I still drive a Honda, still shop at Target, still live modestly by billionaire standards. But now I do it with the hard-won knowledge that sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's letting people reveal exactly who they are when they think you have nothing, then showing them exactly what they lost when they treated you as less than. The Harringtons wanted a prenup to protect them from a fortune hunter. They got one. They just never imagined they were the ones hunting, and I was the one who needed protection. In the end, the very document they created to keep me from their money became the wall that kept them from mine. Funny how paperwork works both ways. Funnier still how people who measure worth in dollars never see the real fortune hunters looking back at them in the mirror. The prenup they insisted on sits framed in my office now, right next to my degrees and business awards. A reminder that sometimes the best defense isn't fighting back. It's letting your opponents arm you with exactly the weapons you need to defeat them.